That was a massive leap here. It didn't even took a second for Schaefer to get in position. Uber Elder was following slightly after, so... Oh god, dude. That was actually close. And now I lost all my blitz charges. Big yikes. I mean, not even close. I mean, calculated. No, calculated? Now get ready for the big deeps. Easy. But I still think investing less into damage is better. I still think it's better, even though the lightning version has less DPS than fire and cold, it's still way than enough. No, discipline, haste, vitality. Ugh. Ugh. What the fuck? Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. So today we're gonna take a look at the lightning wild strike Berserker. So we played the fire, the cold yesterday, and today we're trying out the lightning version so we can compare all of these and yeah, make a final judgment on what is good, what is bad, and so on. So I think we're just gonna pick up an elder haunty mansion here. And sorry about my voice and stuff, but I only slept like 2 hours, okay, so that explains. But yeah, this is now the lightning based version, means we're blocking the cold and fire here with the combat focus jewel. So only thing we're gonna do is now lightning damage with a very nice arc effect. And this is basically, I would probably say, even better than a self-cast arc. The only difference is we have a melee build here, right? So we're still using the foils, and now we add in an impulsor because we're doing lightning damage, we're shocking. Arc with impulsor is love, okay? This is the actual clear speed. And I gotta say, this time around, if you remember about what I said in the cold version of the build, that I don't really feel a difference in terms of single target. So I was expecting fire to have the most single target, frost to be the mediocre in terms of clear speed and single target, and lightning will be the least single target but the most area of effect. It counts for lightning definitely. You see the difference on Uber, for example, and the damage itself. But on the Frost version, for some reason, I think it did more single target damage and did have a better clear compared to the fire. But yeah, we're here to talk about the lightning version, so let's take a look. We're activating Blood Rage as always, pop flasks, and then yeah, hit something, kill it with shocks and impulsor, and as you see, the chain reactions are actually quite enjoyable. And the good thing about it is, if you compare it now to Frost, for example, the Frost projectiles are just traveling in a straight line, right? While the impulsor, the arc effect that we're having here, is basically chaining around the corners, right? And you can have up to, I don't know how many chains you could have in total. With Travel Fury, with Ancestral Call, with the Helm Enchant, with actually a chain support, you could get up like almost 60 chains or something, which is not necessary and what is something I would not recommend. So pop our totems, rage, and yeah, just blow up the single target here, at least the boss here. And then let's continue with this one, and in the end we're gonna do the Cassier encounter. But as you see, it just leap slamming around, one hit, just explode everything, and we still have our insane attack speed. Means we're doing, I don't know, probably up to like 10 or 15 arcs per second, because based on my attack speed, right? And then we still have the Ancestral Call support that makes another chain arc. So all in all, it's a pretty well-rounded build, and I would probably say the most fun in terms of that, okay? So let's see the cast here. We have 2, 4, 6 with a boss here. So just minion nodes. I think we're just gonna build up some freeze turrets here. Freeze turrets here and there. More here, more there. Speed forward. And yeah, we should actually be fine. As you can imagine, I mean, kind of obvious that this build is quite fast and fun with the Blight Encounter as well. You're just jumping there, and once you have some packs here, you're just gonna shoot in your arcs. And I say always arcs, it's Wild Strike. You shoot in your Wild Strike, you attack with your Wild Strike. The rest is just bonus effect, right? Expulsory explosions. But it's a super fun and fast build to play. Super enjoyable, can definitely recommend. The only problem is it's definitely the most expensive out of the Wild Strike characters. The reason for that is simple, the enchant. You wanna have the enchant, right? Like, there is no fire-based Helm enchant or cold-based Helm enchant. I just took the 40% increased Wild Strike damage. So here is the boss. Let's take a look on this one. Yeah, okay, it's respectable still. Hey, can you leave my pump, please? I was just focusing the boss down. Now, somewhere here, somewhere there. I think we're pretty much safe on the top side. Here's one more, here's a couple more. And we're done. Perfect. Yeah, as I said, as you saw it, or as you can imagine, Arc in terms of clear speed, Impulsor is just glorious and fun to play. And I would say probably my most fun Wild Strike attempt here, right? Fire was super cool in terms of the aesthetics. An Exalted Shard, hello sir. Actually making profit out of a Blight. That's insane. Okay, so we can actually run one Delph here for comparison as well. So if I have some Delph Sulfite, I think I have. Do I? You're having 10,000, so yeah. Let's go for a juicy Delph node so you see that aspect as well. Maybe a little bit longer one. Yeah, this one. A triple one with a quite long road, which is quite fine for showcase, I guess. And now we're gonna talk about the build in specific. So, oh yeah, jump over it. Just popping everything, and not only popping flasks and stuff, also popping the screen. And it's sometimes like based on the mob density, obviously. The chains will go more than like probably 2 or 3 screens based on the mob density, obviously. Because if the mob density sucks, the chain will not jump over. I mean, typical Arc playstyle like that, right? But still, I would say this is the best Wild Strike. So if you're unsure if you should go Fire, Cold, or Lightning, I would give it to Lightning, just because of the map clear. And even if you say you're a boss killer only and you don't care about maps and you're doing Uber Elders all day long, don't forget every Uber Elder has 8 Guardian maps. So you're gonna spend more time mapping, although you're a boss killer, than actually killing the boss. And since Uber Elder wasn't a big deal as well with this build, I mean, you're gonna feel a difference. If you played Frost and Fire before Lightning, you're gonna feel a difference in terms of DPS. But I still would say it's way more enough damage than you actually need to kill Uber Elder. We are still having like 3 million or something, and this excluding the Arc, you know. I'm not really want to count in the bonus effect that we're getting, although it's there. For example, my Frost build had in the end like 8 million Shaper DPS, and the projectiles hit for like 2 million. But I still don't count them in because, you know, it's a Wild Strike build, so we're gonna count in the Wild Strike, but it's still there. And the Lightning Bolt does less damage. So my Lightning currently does, I think, like 700,000. 700, 800,000, while the Wild Strike itself, the attack itself, is doing about 3 million, as I said. And yeah, as you can imagine, way more than enough to clear all content with the right investment, as I always want to add here, right? Because if you're just taking like any garbage gear, just getting an Impulsor, you probably gonna end up just mapping and not doing anything else just because you will not have the damage for it. You need gear for this build. It's the same with like any other melee attack based build. If your foils are bad, your damage will be bad. So the foils are always like one of the best outcome or the best source that you should spend your money on besides the impulsor on this lightning strike version, right? So I'd rather run around with a tabula, but having better falls in. Now, single target, and phase transition, and now Dragon, do your stuff. I want to have my soul fight, please. Sir, please. Oh god, I'm looking forward to the Eternity version. That's going to be even better. Hopefully. Sir, can you please? I cannot leech, there is no mobs here. How kind of you, thank you very much. Okay, as you saw, absolutely no problem clearing the content here, as you saw in the Uber Elder as well. Pretty nice and juicy stuff. So let's go in the hideout and let's talk about the gearing process, what I did change here compared to the other characters. So, the big, or the only major change here, change is swapping out the Astral Plate for an Impulsor. I mean, we're shocking, right? And Impulsor is garbage, by the way. But anyways, the biggest problem here is getting the 4 red sockets. And I did actually, I think I have another Impulsor somewhere laying around. Yeah, this was my actual Impulsor. This has pretty nice rolls. But I spent more than 3,000 chromatics with the Varisi bench, choosing for, you know, at least 2 red sockets and 3 red sockets. I spent more than 3,000. In the end, I said, like, you know what, let's just buy the cheapest Impulsor and just link it ourselves, right? The reason why I did that is because now I can just go in, get like 3 sockets, right? Then I'm going to choose the three red sockets here for 120. And then you're gonna use sockets, and then you just swap from 3 sockets to 4 to 3 to 4 until you hit the 4th red socket, okay? The reason for that is every time it stays with the sockets you had. So if you start with 3 red and you go to 4 and it's going to be blue, and you go back to 3, it will just remove the blue socket and you will stay with the 3 red, right? So you're just gonna keep on going 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4 until you hit the 4th red socket here. And then, since this base is Dex Intelligence, it will most likely roll green and blue. That means I just went from 4 sockets to 6 sockets. Just give it a try. I hit the blue-green from the first, but then you just go 5 socket, 6 socket, or at least like you go 6 socket in first hand, right? And if it's like double blue, you just go back 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6 until you hit the last green. And yeah, it's kind of rough to recolor this one since it's a Dex Intelligence based, and 4 red off colors means you're gonna spend some currency recoloring it. But once it's done, you're gonna have your generic setup with Wild Strike, added lightning damage, melee fist, multi-strike, ally damage, and ruthless. The reason why I'm going added lightning damage over the lightning penetration is simple. The mana multiplier. So I don't have a... Now, we still have Fire Pen here. So Fire Pen, Cold Pen, Lightning Pen, they're all working the same. They have a mana multiplier of 140. And the Flat Edit has a 130. The difference is simple. If I add the Lightning Penetration, my Wild Strike is not for free anymore. As you remember, I'm running 3 times minus mana cost, which is a total of 27. And with the Lightning Penetration, my Wild Strike costs, I think, like 29 or 30 mana, and so it does cost 3 mana, which is not a lot, obviously. But since I don't really want to spend mana for my skills as a Berserk, we're having about like 15 attacks per second when we have our Rage up. That means although you're only having 3 mana per second, but since you're attacking that fast, you're gonna spend a lot of mana per second, right? So I don't want to have that, so I'd rather skip some of the DPS and get an added lightning instead of the lightning penetration, just so it keeps free, right? So my Leap Slam is for free, my War's Chief Totem is for free, my Wild Strike is for free, so I can really take advantage out of the maximum attack speed that the Berserk delivers. Okay, the next important change, and this is the expensive part, it's the lightning Wild Strike enchant, which chains 6 additional times. So my Wild Strike itself chains already 7 times. With the Helm enchants, we're up to 13 chains here, right? So the Helm enchant, this was the cheapest that I got. It's a shit base, it's a shit item level. It's not what I want to have actually on an armor-based build, more or less. But there isn't even, like, I always have my my life search on because I want to have a nice shaped base for the Eternity Shroud, obviously. But if you take a look on the prices, they're starting at 6 exalts, item level 73, so not only the prices are insane, but the most bases you get here are Val masks or Hubris circlet or anything like that. So I'm gonna have a rough time trying to get one of these armor bases, right? So if you go for a non-shaped version, you start at approximately 3 exalts for a base, right? So I bought mine for 3 exalt. That was just the cheapest 6 additional chain that I could get on the market. Good thing I have 3 blue, 1 green, which is quite nice to have an energy shield base here, but I still would like to have an armor base. If you don't have the currency, their second enchant is the 4 chains, which you can get for roughly 100 chaos. So if you cannot afford the big boy one, then I would still go with a 4 chain rather than just not running anything, because more chains, more clear speed, more fun, you know, this is pretty much it. So I have here a Wrath, Herald of Thunder, Enlighten, and Precision. I would probably say that a Herald of Ice instead of Thunder would be more fun to play, but since we're running an Impulsor, I think our clear is fair enough. I think when I go take on the Eternity Shroud build, I'm going to play with Herald of Ice just because we're missing the Impulsor chain reaction, right? But in terms of that, we're scaling lightning damage, right? We also scale the lightning penetration, which means that a Herald of Ice will not give me as much damage as a Herald of Thunder does, because Herald of Thunder gives me flat lightning damage. With the lightning penetration, it's going to end up more if we're just staying strictly with the lightning base here. Why Precision on Lightning level 4, since this one would soak up like 78% mana or something. I'm also running an aspect of the cat, so I just disabled that because I don't like when I'm doing my build guide here and the character keeps on being invisible for a couple of seconds like you see here. So we're just going to switch that off for now. But it gives you crit or like agility and stuff. It's super nice to have as a damage increase. If you don't have that, if you don't want to invest in... sorry. If you don't want to invest into the aspect of the cat, you can skip the Enlighten and still have like more than enough to even get your precision even higher to have your hit chance. I'm currently running... where is my ally hit? My attack. Hello, sir. Here it is. I still have 97%. The reason for that is I usually run the equity here for capping out my hit chance. But I felt it's safer to remove those 3 points and take it into the Vitality Void so we have an increased life leech. And I think... for me personally, I would rather survive and miss 3 attacks out of 100, okay? This is something I can live with, so... But as I said, if you level up your precision higher, you can get up to the 100% if you don't want to play with the aspect of the cat. Okay, since we're a Fizz build, I have here a double jeweled foil, and on this take, I want to mention it again. My bases are shaped because I plan to play with an Eternity Shroud. That means if I go for a Dictator's mod, what I have here... I could do it on a non-shaped version, which would be easier to get since there is less mods on the non-shaped version. But I don't want to craft twice, you know, like getting my foils up on a non-shaped base and then play the builds. And then when I say like now I want to play Eternity Shroud, then recraft my weapons on a shaped base. So I just started with the shaped base itself, same as the boots, the gloves, and so on. So just to mention that. I alteration spammed for the Dictator's mod and then just... like regaled and then annulled off and then just multi-modded with percentage fizz, flat fizz, attack speed and crit quality. These are super nice weapons, currently having 450 DPS on both, which is super nice. Running a Leap Slam, Endurance Charge melee stun and Fortify. On the offhand we are having Blood Rage, Enhance and a Berserk to boost our attack speed even higher. For the rings I choose to go with double Opal Ring. For some reason, I'm just telling you that Opal Rings will give you more damage than Steel Rings. Yes, this is a physical-based build, that's true, but the ally damage will also like apply after the conversion, right? So this is actually a melee skill, which is based on physical damage, but still we're converting 100% of that physical damage into fire, cold, or lightning, depending on what you have over. If you don't, if you block the other ones. Or in the other hand, if you attack fire, it's going to be 100% fire conversion. If you attack cold, it will be cold, and lightning will be lightning. So the only thing that we need to do is scale our fist damage to get the most lightning damage out of that, or at least the elemental damage. Still, I did try the same thing with steel rings, the same ring, just path of building, you know, copy paste, and then change the opal ring to steel ring. I lose a little bit of DPS, right? So it's not a big difference. We're talking about roughly 10,000 DPS plus or minus, you know, and on a base level of like 3 million, 10,000 DPS is literally nothing. So get a shaped ring. Can also get resistance, two-tone rings, or even coral rings, or the new vermilion rings for more extra life. But in the end, you want to have a shaped base, so you can get the Assassin's Mark on hit. Then I just multi-modded it with life, all resistance, and minus mana cost. Same as the other one, this is a non-shaped ring. Just chaos spammed for life resistance, basically. This one doesn't even have life, but it had the nice resistance to cap me out, so I just sticked with that one and got the -9 mana cost as well on this one, so it sums up to be 27 in total. For my amulet, I just go with the life and ally damage with the packs. If you can get a good amulet, which would have like increased crit strike chance, you can get Fizz's extra lightning, you can get a multiplier, you can have flat lightning damage. There's so many possibilities that you can have on a good amulet. I got this one, and I think like life, ally damage, crit strike chance, minus mana cost is kind of all I want to have on this one. For the gloves, it's just life resistance, like every other rare item, like the belt, for example. And the helm, sorry. God. I'm talking way too much all the time, so I'm getting a dry throat, so I need to have my coffee ready for talking too much. Okay, let's talk about the gloves here. I have a single Ancestral War Chief that will boost my damage. So the normal one will give me, I think, up to 18% more melee fist damage. More melee fist is more fist damage, is more lightning damage after the conversion of the Wild Strike. And once the Val version is up, we can have up to 2 totems here. It gives me actually 32% more melee fist damage. Sadly, they don't stack, but it's still a very nice damage boost if you have those totems up for bosses. Then I have a cast damage taking Immortal Call and Wave of Conviction. The thing about Wave of Conviction is it will deal fire and lightning damage, right? But the higher damage counts because it will apply the exposure. Means if my lightning damage is higher than my fire damage, it will apply the lightning exposure, means that the enemy will have -25 lightning resistance, which ends up in being more DPS for me. And since we're running Wrath and Herald of Thunder, which both give me flat lightning damage, our Wave of Conviction will also do more lightning damage than fire, so we get the lightning exposure. On the belt, as I said, life resistance is all you want to have, and if you can get it, ally damage with attacks, or even fossil crafted for ally damage, lightning damage, something like that. Since I'm a Berserker, I like to play with the Chaos Roots. Reason for that is Uber Elder. I like to be non-snared, non-frozen, right? And since this one, the Unwavering Stance, or the action speed cannot be modified below base value, means we have freeze immunity, because the freeze would actually slow me down, and this is getting countered by the Chaos Roots, basically. So I can play with a Bleed Flask, a Poison Flask, and no freeze immunity flask just because of the Chaos Roots, which for me is quality of life. The movement speed is kind of shit on this build, but we are leap slamming all the time. With the massive amount of attack speed that we are getting, we are leap slamming so goddamn fast that you will not think about moving around, actually. Alright, what else do we have to talk about? We talked about the gear, the flask choices. I'm running an instant life flask, a Cinder Swallow Urn, which gives me Onslaught, super nice for mapping. The Lion's Roar that gives me more melee fist damage, means more fist damage, as on the Ancestral War Chief, basically. Means more lightning damage after the conversion. At Series Promise, extra alias chaos damage, the extra leech, super nice, and the Diamond Flask, since we're a crit build with bleed immunity. You can actually take what would actually not even be bad, a Wise Oak Flask. But only if your lightning resistance is higher than your other resistance. Currently in my build, fire is for me the highest resistance, so I don't want to run a Wise Oak, because why do I need the fire penetration on a lightning based build? You want to do this once you're having like either your lightning pen as the highest or the lightning res, or they are balanced so you get all 3 types of damage penetration and defensive layers. But for me in my current build, fire is the highest, so this is the main reason why I'm not using a Wise Oak. Alright, let's take a look at the skill tree itself, what they changed to the other versions of the build. Not a lot, as usual. We're just blocking out now the cold version and the fire version, so we're only doing the lightning damage. Then still on the left side, my Transcendent Flash for the multiplier. Then we're having the Watcher's Eye, this time with lightning damage penetration by Wrath. This is something usually you do. As I was saying before, we want to scale lightning damage and profit from the lightning pen. This one was 50 chaos, so they are super cheap to get. But double Wrath with like crit strike chance, damage penetration, something like that, goes for 10, 15, 20 exalts. I don't think this is necessary at all to do. Other than that, I think, yeah, I added the Primeval Force, what I did not do on the other builds, just because of the extra chance to freeze shock for the Impulsor here. Path of Building link is in the description below, as always. For bandit choice, it's going to be Help Lyra. For the additional multiplier and also the all resistance. My Pantheons, as usual, we have Lunaris and Shakari for mapping, and then Solaris and Yugol for the Uber Elder encounter, or for bossing in general. If you don't do Uber Elder, you can also take the physical damage mitigation or the life region to Kahamo, for example, to have some more sustain. For the MTX, we're running double Seraph Sword with the Scholar Weapon effect to have some more lightning effect here. The Red Bandana, the Harbinger Challenger Eyes that you can actually not get anymore because it's Challenger Eyes, right? Holy Eyes, Vanishing Dice, we have this Ricardo Flick cosplay in the lightning version today, Outlaw Boots. We have the Soul Stealer Portal effect, and then Sin Leap Slam, which is the feather one here, the dark one. Wrath doesn't have one at the moment because it is already blue, and I want to keep the character in the blue side area. So we have the Soul Nexus on Precision, then Wild Ancestral Warchief doesn't have one, and Dark Immortal Call. Alright, this pretty much sums up the experience on the Lightning version. As I said, it is kind of expensive just because of the Helm enchant, but you just want to have it, you know, more chains is more fun, right? And for the conclusion now, since I played all three types, Fire is super cool with the effects, Frost is actually better, but reminds me too hard on a Frostblade's character. And in the end, when I play the Lightning, I just feel personally that the Lightning version makes the most fun for me in terms of the playstyle. The chain reactions are huge, it's a lot of fun, we have Impulsor explosions, and the single target with some halfway decent weapons is also able to kill Uber Elder, as you saw in the footage. It's going to be at half of the damage of Fire and Cold in terms of single target, but I think in addition to that, since you're mapping a lot in general, right, or delphing, the chain reactions will just give you enough satisfaction to think about twice if you want to switch to Fire just because of the single target deep. And what we're doing now is I'm going to work now on an Eternity Shroud based Wild Striker, and this is a little bit rougher this time. I just want to mention something. Don't forget about that the Combat Focus Jewel not only block an element, it will also give me less damage of that element, right? So if we're gonna do like the Lightning version for now, if we're scaling the Lightning into Cold with Call of the Brotherhoods that is usual for Eternity Shroud build, the Cold portion will be 50% less damage because the Jewel is getting calculated in the damage before the conversion hits, okay? So we're getting not a lot out of the Eternity Shroud, still a part of build that it already, and it's going to be a lot more damage than this version in terms of single target, obviously, but I don't want to spoil it too much. So stay tuned and wait for the final Wild Strike build that I'm going to work on right now. So thanks for tuning in, guys, thanks for watching, and see you on the next.